Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia of Kundalini Yoga and ANTAR Yoga, the descent and ascent of Kundalini within the physical human body. Descent of Maha Shakti or Maha Kundalini is well known, and mention of this is found in Ida-Nadi Upanishads after making an opening in the head, Vidri, Dwar, Brahmandra, or Talu, or anterior fontanelle, the soul enters inside. That is one is talked about in Ida-Nadi Upanishad in a cosmic Purusha as a Lokpalan entering into the human being. But that is given, but as far as I am concerned, I know Kundalini enters the body of the growing fetus after 22 weeks of pregnancy through anterior fontanelle called Brahmandra. Kundalini modifies the genetic structure of the design of the ideal body. As a result, it can be a perfect human being to be in tune with the universal consciousness. And depending upon the people who have reincarnated of many of the experiences of spiritual evolution, enlightenment and empowerment, in my opinion, if you have done it for 22 times, you are going to be bound to lead life from perfection from day one of conception till the last day, and you will be able to do the wonders of wonder which have never been done. And I have done that in my reincarnation, 22 stages. And I am glad I have been able to bring DIVYANK for the first time in history of mankind. Imprints of this were there in Karn Sharira of my Kundalini for thousands and thousands of years, and I am aware of it, and there is no need for somebody to know. But then Kundalini enters, modifies the whole thing and sleeps in Muladhar Chakra, and that is what is Kundalini Yoga all about. Now, there are two ways of ascension of Kundalini. Kundalini can go from Muladhara to Sahasrara Chakra through Pranamaya Kosha, external thing which is around the body, and that is what my experience of Shunya for the first time. I saw myself in a white bag of light. Maybe in that case, Kundalini from Vishuddhi Chakra expanded and its light appeared right up to Sahasrara Chakra. Complete body was like that as a peepal tree or banyan tree. Was a beautiful experience way back in 1992. And there is another route of internalization of Chakra Yoga when Kundalini from Muladhara, breaking Brahma Granthi, gets into Brahmandra, and then through that come to the ventricles, and then integrate the whole physical body of 100 trillion cells, and of course 100 billion cells, and of course the possibility of another 22 memory synapses to get data, information, knowledge, wisdom of all the subjects and lead to impeccable wisdom within the physical body. As a result, you can explain and explore, explain and everything from A to Z as you experience in Pindanta or Tantra of the entire universe as such. That possibility is there, and that is the possibility I am talking about from within out, not outside. But within out you should see with an open eyes, and you see the same thing which you have experienced outside, you see outside. Once you do that, only you can't come to the impeccable wisdom. It's a totally integrated, and that's what I call Akhandata. Now, as I have told you very clearly, my mission is the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known is one thing very clear. And in the light of Akhandata, impeccable wisdom, I have experienced the beauty of greatest discovery of DIVYANK, the divine of nature with which the creation, development and maturation takes place. It's taken me more than 60 years to understand, from divine mathematics to physics, chemistry to medical sciences to all the 64 arts. And that's what I'm talking about in the light of DIVYANK. Now, super conscious experience in this life, how I actually experience the beauty of consciousness or Kundalini within the physical body. Let me make it very clear. It was almost 40 years of my age when I did not have a super conscious experience within my body, but that period was used to understand modern made mathematics, divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, medical sciences, all the subjects. But I am glad everything was actually seen by Atma, given me the kind of wisdom with which I could use those 40 years to gather all the knowledge of the external world and lead a fantastic, exemplary academic profession. Studies, students, college, university, and of course everything was so beautiful, which was different from what I had read. And now with that background and now the internal background, I am writing DIVYANK and Akhandata so that we can create a new divine subjects of maths, which is divine, physics, chemistry, which is divine, and biology, which is divine, and all what should be perfect throughout without any difficulty at all. I know it's going to be challenging in a sense because the entire world is known of the things which are manifest, it is confusion. And I want to give something which is uniform. It's not easy for the world to accept because ego is a big problem. But I'm sure we are all human beings, are perfect beings. The day we realize, accept it, we'll have impeccable wisdom for the entire world, from school, college to the universities, without any deficiency at all. This is my perception. I am working. I'm sure is a course of time when everybody will follow Akhand Vidyasham's impeccable wisdom only. So the whole process started on 1st January 1991 when Maharishi Vethathri initiated me into simplified Kundalini Yoga. That was the first conscientious initiation and spiritual experience within my physical body, and it was done around 10:30 in the morning. I had taken my breakfast. He put his hand on forehead, you can see on Ajna Chakra, the blue, and asked me to look at that particular spot consistently. After a due course, I started feeling something in my upper abdomen, as you can see in Manipura. I have put a Usha I talk about it, and then started moving towards left around the heart and came to that particular spot. That was so distinct experience of Kundalini moving in upper abdomen, Usha Chakra, then moving towards the left to Suryan-Nadi, coming to Agnya Chakra and staying there, and gave me a splitting headache for 10 days, which no medicine could help me out. But then it was healed within 3 stages and it was phenomenal. That is what made me get interested. As a result, I asked him other things which he taught were Turya Titam and other things, but they started giving me siddhis, which I did not approve of, because siddhis people start misusing for money, financial things. I said, no, I will not do it. Then I stopped, and then I studied the books for next 2 years, 91 to 93, and all the books I studied, I was not happy because I did not find my experience in the books which I read. And I had my own library of 10,000 books, studied conscientiously. But then I thought it's time for me to go for research by and large, and that's landed me in my PhD work in neurosciences. And result, first EEG which I took in 93 was like a common man's EEG with 10.5 Hertz from occipital and parietal region when mind was at rest and eyes were closed. Very many moments I opened the eyes, started thinking, they were replaced by beta activity, which is faster. You can see in 93 EEG. But within 2 years of learning to use Kundalini to concentrate in different parts, and then saw that I could produce alpha frequency after opening the eyes. When I opened that eyes, and this was unusual finding which encouraged me to go ahead with this process of power spectrum analysis of EEG at that particular stage. But unfortunately, it was not available in Government General Hospital or Madras Medical College or any other hospitals in Chennai in 95. Then next 3 years I had to work it out to find out. Then with the help of my friend Dr. A.C. Gangadhar, we converted one of the things into power spectrum analysis with the help of MATLAB, and results have been phenomenal. And 2001 research was given to the world as unusual, highly commendable work when I am able to produce alpha frequency of lower frequency, not 10.5, and of course throughout the brain, and then show to the world, which is different from what neuroscientists are talking about. That was very enlightening experience, which I have talked about in my autobiography. Now the second turning point of that particular thing was I went and wanted to learn yogasana, pranayam and meditation personally from a school of yoga which was Vivekananda, 4 months in end of 92. And during that particular place, after 4 months of training in yogasana, pranayam, meditation and Tradkam, he led a very experience light within the body. So the teacher, Mahesh, told us, sit down in Padmasana, as the picture you can see, imagine the light in Muladhar Chakra as I can see. Then he asked you to change it to the higher Swadhisthana Chakra, take the ball of light to little higher portion where Swadhisthana Chakra is, and it was done. Third, he said take it to Nabhi Chakra, and when I took that, I could feel the movement step by step to that particular stage. Then he said, take it to Anhata Chakra, which is in the heart center. I could experience that also very well within my body. Then he says, okay, take it to Vishuddhi Chakra. When I took to Vishuddhi Chakra, I suddenly got a jerk. And then I saw myself in a bag of white light. That my first experience of Shunya, emptiness, and experience myself Satchit Anand spontaneously. And that is this particular picture all about. And that's what I've been saying. The zero was known to Akhand Bharat from the very beginning within physicalized experience itself. And all the numbers have come from Shunya only, but Akhand Bharat Brahmins did not feel the need to emphasize that way, but they had their Brahmi very clear, knowledge very clear. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. So zero started from zero, after one, and the number were done, and the record is there from Rigved right up to this, thousands and thousands. West did not realize zero till 6th or 7th century of this, and they think they got it from India, from Aryabhatta or Brahmaputra and things, which is not true. Indian knew it. And I have talked about Yajnavalkya, 500 years that Purna Midam Purnavadam Purnata Vishishte had that concept of Shunya there. There is Shunya there within Rigved itself, before the creation itself. That's a dot is Shunya, from everything has come. And this was my personal experience of Shunya within my body, and of course outside my body. I am inside as zero and outside also zero. Both dot, circle, sphere. All the three aspects I experienced for the first time in 92 itself. And then I spoke about this particular experience to you, teacher Mahesh, and said, don't talk this to anybody else because they'll think you have gone mad. I couldn't believe my ears. A genuine spiritual experience, a sign is a madness. How could it be? And then I did not want to get into argument with him, but today I am saying skin and eyes have a common origin, ectoderm, and nervous system is developed from that. And as a result, we can train the skin cells to see the aura. And I can see aura, people around me, back, also very clearly because my skin is able to perceive that. And unless until you have an experience of that nature with the purity, you cannot say. There are certain things, this is. Now the third turning point which came in talking about ascension of Kundalini from Muladhara to Hap came up little later. Then came the question of chakras when I realized over a period they are not the 7 chakras outside. Now there are 10 chakras inside. In the last one, in Chakral Yoga, I talked about 10 plus 3, 4, 4, 1, 9 chakras. But inside I experienced at that stage. Now that experience was way back in 1993 itself. 91 I had initiation, 92 experienced the light within and outside and the shunya, and 93 itself and the experience of all the 10 chakras within my body itself. I could feel how one by one, Muladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabhi to Usha to Anhata to Vishiddhi, Agniya, Vigyan, Pragyan and Sahasrara, I could feel within my body itself. That was a phenomenal experience of Chakra Yoga which I talked about the last video. Now having said that, you please go through that video again and then start from there, this particular thing, how you internalize it, how you raise the Kundalini, bring it down to Brahma-Granthi to Brahma-Nadi and to Vaikuntha of the ventricles, and then feel one with the entire universe. And that super conscious experience with eyes open, experience all the 100 trillions as your body, entire thing, and entire feeling the whole Brahmand and Pindand as one, is a phenomenal experience which is called Satchit Anand, which ancient Indian Brahman experienced it. I have experienced it, I have cognized it. As a result, over a 20 years of period, having a dialogue with Kundalini, I could recognize, conceive and reveal DIVYANK for the first time in 2015. The first dialogue between me and Kundalini, super conscious, was way back in 1995 itself. But 20 years of tapasya on this, step by step, realizing the entire beauty of spiritual science within and spiritual science outside, brought me to that and gave the world DIVYANK for the first time, which is divine design. I think this tapasya, austerity of so many janmas, and then in this particular thing has brought the world to DIVYANK for the first time in the history of mankind. Now it's time for us to rewrite divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology and all the subjects, and then give the uniform syllabus to the entire world, which is not man-made defective at all. That's the reason now for the last 20 years I've been doing that in one form or other, explaining step by step. There's maybe certain deficiencies, but super conscious experience has been given, but shows also how we improve step by step. So this was the 93 experience. And in this particular picture, which was Swami Sukhutananda, when I saw that experience, you can see the light around my body and also see the light right on top of my head. But you don't see that in anything. This was taken by Canon A1 picture. And I think this was phenomenal experience. I could even feel the light on my head, which was enlightening. It's feeling inside and feeling outside and then seeing into the picture. I think this was a super conscious experience. We need that kind of experience to have a conviction. The copying other thing does not help at all. And as a student from a school, college to the university to the PhD, I have only explained things which I experience, not something which I read from others. And I find whatever I read from others is defective. What was coming from inside was perfect. The dialogue between me and my Kundalini from my childhood has given me the kind of academic excellence, exemplary from day to run, because that was giving me how to be perfect and move on from in out, not out in, not copy others, and reset the whole thing design after design, which is exemplary at every level. You can see in my CV and my profile by and large. Then come to the question of, now I'm going to talk about, there are three Granthis which have been spoken about. One is called Brahma Granthi, another is Vishnu Granthi, third is Rudra Granthi, which scriptures talk about it. And I agree that three Granthis are there. But the most important, in my opinion, is the Brahma Granthi, which is a block between ganglion impar or Muladhara Chakra and Brahma-Nadi, which is central canal of the nervous system. There are nerve fibers of the spinal cord to outside that barrier. You got to break that to go inside. That is one. But as far as Vishnu Granthi is the one which brings you the knowledge of mantras and superconscious devotion and make you very strong in heart and love everyone by and large. That is Vishnu Granthi. And Rudra Granthi is experienced only the people who internalize about head those higher brains of consciousness which are superlative with the universal consciousness. So the Brahma is about the creation, sexual energy, reproduction. Vishnu is the mantra, yantra, tantra, physically by the 10 stages of development is very clearly and centers on Vishnu Granthi. And Rudra Granthi is the last stage. Without that, completion cannot take place. That's why Lord Rudra is Lord Shiva's name, but it represents about 0.34419, that stage which completes it. Without dissolution and regeneration, nothing can be completed. Brahma is important, Vishnu is important, and so is Rudra or Shiva. Once you have experienced all the three, only then you can be like Lord Dattatreya, which Mata Anusuya created. That is a phenomenal thing. I have already spoken about it. And that is what made me cognize all the three things. By 2002 in my book, I have already spoken by 22 by 21 to the power. Brahma and Vishnu were already spoken. But to understand the 0.34419, I had to wait for 20 years. In 2014 and 15, I could find that number and complete Divyank rectangle and find the number as 22 by 21, the power of 10.4419, equivalent to 1.618034. I have already explained that earlier. Now this is a revision for you to go to next stage of superconscious level. Now I am showing the Brahma Granthi. You can see this in the center, Ida, Pingala and Sushumna-Nadi. Or you have the left and right vertebral column of the 45 ganglion coming from 28, which is Divyank. But difference between Muladhara, which is in ganglion empire, and of course getting into the ventricles and into the spinal cord, into the central canal, which is Brahma-Nadi, after breaking Brahma Granthi is absolutely essential, and that is one of the most difficult problems. But I do know people who have a very potent testosterone level or estrogen level, they would be able to experience internalization much better than the one who are just not into understanding the opposite gender at all or understanding reproductive system at all. I make it very clear. If you want to be spiritually enlightened, you got to get married, you got to loyal to your one wife alone and be at home, work as unison piece to help each other out. When husband and wife work together as a team, they can do wonders. Not the one who are not looking at us as Ardhanarishwari. That's why they said Shiv and Shakti are two integral parts. Husband and wife should be like that. If they are together, that couple is like Aitreya and Anusuya. Let's put it that way. Now, this is what the knowledge I have experienced. It taken me some time, but when I experienced that it was real thunders, brilliant lights, and vibrating the whole body within myself was amazing experience. But I can assure you, if this experience was given to somebody else, they may or may not have been very comfortable with and landed up in lunatics. But I knew very well, because I had done this over and over in many of the janmas. So it didn't surprise me, because this experience was required to go inside. Antar Yoga was required at the 10th stage of Akhand Yoga. I knew it. So I felt experience, it was phenomenal. When I spoke about that experience to some of my so-called spiritually inclined friends, instead of understanding, same thing, this is madness, called all sorts of names, and I'm sorry to say, people do not experience, as a result you have a problem. So if you want to be a perfectly enlightened person, you got to experience within your body. And I'm making, and that nobody on the outside can help you. This you have to do it and take my knowledge as experience, work. I can assure you, everybody would lead to impeccable wisdom step by step on their own. Now the fourth turning point was elimination of Brahma Granthi, as I told you. Muladhar Chakra, there is Kundalini. But Kundalini is moving from Muladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabi to Usha to Anhata to Vishuddhi to Agnya, Vigyan, Pragyan, all that external I have already seen with autonomic nervous system, endocrine system, all the external factors were absolutely experienced. But internalizing into the Brahma-Nadi after Brepi Granthi was something which was the fourth turning point which I experienced. As I told you, it broke. That was way back in 95, sitting doing meditation at home. I found the light breaking Brahma Granthi, connecting those fibers of the spinal cord, and how moving inside into the first Vahini-Nadi experience, then Surya Chandran-Nadi, and then went into that. And Vahini-Nadi had already experienced before. But going into Brahma-Nadi was a phenomenal experience. That was way back in 95 itself. Only after experiencing the 95 thing, I started seeing alpha frequency coming to my EEG after opening the eye immediately. So it is internalized, whole thing integrated, things became very, very clear, and that's what I want to show as the 10th stage was very enlightening and made the change to come back home for certain. And that's the dialogue when I started with me and my Kundalini. Kundalini said, welcome, you have come back home. Now stay put, let's have a dialogue, let's give the world impeccable wisdom step by step. Let's take step by steps. And that process in 95 started with the symbol of Gayatri, then improvised to Akhand Gayatri to Akhand. In the process, Datta Gayatri, everything A to Z I understood in 20 years, and 2015 came to DIVYANK, Divine Concept. 2018 Akhand Sutra was given. Now same thing with a better and better improvisation, more and more areas I am able to explain that in Quora answers as well as this, to lay the foundation of impeccable wisdom for all the students of the entire world by 1-1. If everybody is given a uniform education throughout world, all the differences will be zero. We need this experience to be divine and perfect, and everyone is designed with that. Let's forget about anything which divides. Let's take up something which takes us to the highest level of universal consciousness. This is the turning point which I called it ANTAR Yoga, or ascending of Kundalini within, and then giving me way back in 95, which is almost 30 years ago. But the 30 years have given me the kind of knowledge which is amazing from A to Z. Now, as I told you, the one other thing in 95, 98, this is a picture from my PhD thesis in 2001. And I'm showing with closed eyes, it was similar within both, you can see into my research. But with the open eye, you can see alpha frequency with samadhi is very, very high. You can see the difference. But you see in common people, what we see is down. What you have seen in me is this. Maybe for the first time in the history of mankind, somebody could increase the power so much and reduce the frequency. At that particular stage, it was 9.43 from 10.5. But today I am happy that I am able to produce 8 Hz frequency throughout the brain in all the 64 channels with much higher amplitude and 8 Hz as a frequency uniform, which has brought me in tune with Akash-Kosh, and DIVYANK comes from there because the record of that of the past, present and future is there. Now, having explained that, we can move on to the next level in a much better way. Now, as I told you, there are 2 ways of ascension. One is external route, another is internal route. Theosophical Society, Led Beater, Annie Besant talk about external route, and they say outside is one which is expansion. It starts from inside the Annamaya Kosh, as you can see in the picture. The next one surrounding is Pranamaya Kosh. Then there is Manomaya Kosh. Then there is Vijnanmaya Kosh. Then there is Anandamaya Kosh. Then you go to universal consciousness. This is inside out. This is external manifestation by and large with Theosophical Society makes it very, very clear that this is aura which I have seen. I have seen it white, as you can see in the middle, the white one. But other colors also I have seen. 7 colors I have seen. You can see those 7 colors. Once you see that, you see the colors outside a prism. And of course, coming from white, the sunlight, it's an amazing experience. And unless until you have that amazing experience, you will not know the wisdom in complete fullness. Having done that, I am sharing, this was my first experience, external side. White light, then all the lights outside. Between 91 to 92 to 93, right up to 95, it was outside only. Then come to the question of Taittiriya Upanishad, talks about it, 6 sheets inside. The Annamaya Kosh is outside, then Pranamaya Kosh, then Manomaya Kosh, then Vijnanamaya Kosh, then Anandamaya Kosh, then you have Guhyam, cave into which Atma should go. And Guhyam is not a heart. Guhyam is cave, which is actually central canal of the spinal cord. And once in that you come, Atma goes inside. That is what Taittiriya Upanishad is talking about. Taittiriya is not talking about externalization. He said Kundalini should go inside. Atma should go inside into the Guhyam. After from Annamaya Kosh to Pranamaya Kosh to Manomaya to Vijnan to Anand to Guhyam, this is something which Taittiriya Upanishad, and this is what I have experienced in 1995. Now, let me tell you one more concept, which I call Akhand Rishi. We have known about Rishis, we have known about Maharishis, we have known about Brahma Rishis. But Akhand Rishi is a new concept which I am bringing together. That means 100 trillion cells of the body are perfect. You experience Antaratma within the ventricles of the brain, completely self-realized, and that in the process, the descent of Maha Shakti which comes to you, which is Gayatri, and you can experience universal consciousness of Paramatma or Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman at the same time. Jivatma, Antaratma and Paramatma, all the three become one. Then only you have become like a Akhand Rishi. Then you know each to everything completely. And that was my experience. I am in tune with universal consciousness. I am able to get DIVYANK from there. So entire universe, whether it's Aditya within my hand, or Gayatri within my hand, or Adi Para Shakti within my hand, and then only it's possible, once you believe that those Shaktis are there, they are the divine mothers, they are going to give you the knowledge. And I can tell you, you are in tune with universal consciousness. I am glad step by step I have moved on that on my own. I do not have a guru. I do not believe guru. My guru is my Antaratma, which is Aditi, which is helium-4. My divine mother is Gayatri, which is Neon-21. And Maha Kundalini Adi Para Shakti, which is Argon-40. I look up to these 3 Shaktis to give me the wisdom. They are my gurus, along with Surya and all the gods and goddesses of Sanatana Dharma. They are the one who taught me, because they are all within me. I went to experience Brahma within me, Vishnu within me, Shiva within me, Dattatreya within me, and all things. Once you experience that, then only you know Pindand and Brahmand are one. At-tat-tvam-asi is same. And Adi Para Shakti is same. Aham Brahmasmi is same. All the dialogues of Ved and Upanishads become clear because the real meaning you have experienced it. With the reading books alone will not help you. And this is also meant, Isopnists say, reading knowledge from books could be blind. But they are prepare you for the knowledge otherwise. Don't go by the knowledge which is given from the books. You go by the experience of Antaratma within you. That is what Yajnavalkya is talking about. That's why he talks about Brihad Upanishad to Maitri. That is what he is talking about Isha Upanishad also. Once you have experience and your Guru is within you, self, do what is good for you and do the same thing for everybody. And only such person can become Yajnavalkya, and only such person can move up to higher levels of consciousness and explain every aspect of universal consciousness. From that point of view, the most qualified work in the history of mankind I have seen, it was Yajnavalkya, and I am trying to understand that, and with the help of that, give the world a new knowledge at Akhand. He talks about Purnam, I am talking about Akhandata. Whatever he is given in a conceptual form, I am explaining that in the light of Divyank for the world to understand completely. That's one part which is very clear in my work as far as higher levels of consciousness concerned. If written by, I think Yajnavalkya's work has been very precise, concise, and I can assure you he was expert in Yajurved. He knew mantras, he knew yantra, he knew tantra, he knew everything because he designed all the parts for all the rituals of Yajurved in Brihat Upanishads and Sthapna Brahmana and Pi, mathematics. All the concepts were very, very clear. No wonder he knew very well when he went to Janak. No one in the world can answer his question when it comes to the Brahman is concerned. He even asked the swallows to take the reward of 1001 cows before even the process. And that is the confidence comes only from your conviction. He had experience. And let me tell you, he was married to his own teacher's daughter, Katyani. And of course, also with the wife, accepted Maitri to be another student on spiritual journey. And the wonder they have done is amazing. That all shows you have to be loyal, you have to be interactive in relationship with husband and wife should be spiritually one. And once you have that, only then you become complete. Anyone who is not married, who does not believe opposite, misuse and disuse cannot serve. You got to respect your wife as a goddess. From you are going to learn much more than you learn from myself or your own self. And that has also been my experience, and that was reflected in my picture of Shiv and Shakti way back in 92. And I think the kind of experience is all result of many janmas. That's one. Now come to the next stage. Let's be now specific about main nadis are subtle channels of energy which are absolutely essential for us to understand the concept very clearly. That is nadis. This particular picture says very clearly there are 72,000 nadis in the human body. The external nadis of Barang are like this. You have Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, the three nadis which everybody talks about it. But there are other nadis I'm going to talk about: Gandhari, Hastaritka, Kuba, Saraswati, Usha, Pashani, Maram, and etc. Chalte. There are so many things which require to be internalized one by one. But when it comes to the internalization, from this external to internal, the internalization within the Sushumna-Nadi, you have Vahini-Nadi. Within that you have Suryan-Nadi, within that you have Chandran-Nadi, within that is Brahma-Nadi. Those are the four things inside the Sushumna-Nadi, and that is what Satchakra Nirupana also is talking about. But nobody has looked at it. The first 7 chakras, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Nabhi, Anhata, Vishuddhi, Agnya and Sahasrara, they talked about it. But they are not talked inside at all. That is also when you have no experience, even the knowledge is in front of you, will not be able to see it. But this picture is of banyan tree. This is the only one which can produce oxygen 24 hours. It is Pujniya. It can do wonders for you. No wonder this was it. And human aura by and large is like this only. And that is why human body also resembles. Now it's very clear. There are 72,000 nadis which are main. But important is Ida, Pingala on two sides, which are sympathetic system. Sushumna-Nadi is the centralized breathing. Lower is sacral parasympathetic, right is on the cranial parasympathetic, and the fibers of sympathy are from inside. And then inside you have Vahini-Nadi, which is subdural space around the spinal cord, and that is where Ojas gets into Tejas and goes to the brain as an estrogen, testosterone aromatization to estradiol, and gives you, you're going to see it very shortly. And then inside, by breaking Brahma Granthi, when it goes to Brahma-Nadi and then rises to ventricles of the brain, that is where Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva are residing as an Atma itself. I have experienced that. I know it's a wonderful experience because you have to cognize to see it. You cannot imagine it. You've got to cognize it. Now, this is an experience which I have seen 91 through from inside through chakras. And this is where in 93 I have experienced Ida, Pingala, Sushumna, other thing, external chakras of 10 by and large. And now coming to ventricle canal or Sushumna-Nadi, this is Sushumna-Nadi. What you can see outside is Sushumna-Nadi, which is one part. Then subdural space is what I am calling Vahini, in which first energy, sexual energy, testosterone gets into the layers and rise up as such, and the shape it contains is like a maze of Gada of Hanuman, where that's the beauty of Brahmacharya. That means you have the power and you can create the thing which is amazing. But within that is the Suryan-Nadi, which is white matter of the spinal cord. Then you have grey matter, which is Chandran-Nadi, and within that is the central canal, which I've called Brahma-Nadi. This is again experience as a medical doctor. I'm saying, unless until you experience insight into central canal, you will not experience the beauty of Tantra Vidya of 108 shlokas which Lord Shiva gave it to Parvati in Amarnath cave. He talked about internalization and being one with universal consciousness. It was not sex to superconsciousness. It was not Vama Marg. It was nothing to do with it. As a matter of all the concepts from Pahalgam right up to this had dropped everything out. Both as Atma going into the internal and realizing water self and energy in 5 water, solid, earth, ice, water, Agni, Vayu and Akash are with water. That is what he explains. Once you explain that, only then you become Shiva. Then only you understand Tantra Vidya. That is what Spandan Krika of Kashmir Shaivism is all about. That is internalization completely. Once you internalize completely what was revealed in Kashmir is amazing, which Lord Shiva did it to Parvati as the final stage of improvisation, and DIVYANK is all about that. And I'm glad I went there as a child, got exposed to that, and slowly learned and exposed one by one to the world as on today. That is the beauty. Then come to the question of Ida and Pingala-Nadi, which are left and right nadis. Ida and Satchakra Nirupana says very clearly in the space outside the Meru, that means spinal cord, vertebral column. Placed on left and right are the 2 nadis called Sashi, the Ida, lunar, and Mihir, Pingala, the solar, is 2 nadis. And as a medical doctor, I would say both paravertebral layer of ganglion, 22 on either side, and Muladhara ANTAR make that 45 ganglia of the sympathetic system, which originate from 14 vertebral segments or 28 preganglion, which is according to DIVYANK, was an amazing experience for me, that this is designed like that. And this is very important. And that is Ida and Pingala are nothing but sympathetic left and sympathetic right change as such. And modern science also talks about that. I thought that was a phenomenal experience to realize how science and spirituality are beautifully interconnected. Once you see them as the 2 sides of the same coin, only then you can go to impeccable wisdom and Vaikuntha and DIVYANK, otherwise not possible. Then as you can see in this particular picture are those 2 columns, Muladhara down, which is ganglion impar, and either side there are 22 and middle there from 14, and you have all these 10 chakras over there. This is a picture of Ida, Pingala, and all the 10 chakras autonomic with the endocrine gland and things are very, very clear. Once you have that experience, that 10 chakras are connected with sympathetic system. So ascension of Kundalini from Muladhara to the highest is through sympathetic chain by and large. And that is where you have the problem of going for psychosomatic disorders leading to the problems. But in case you are internalized, already experienced The beauty of all the centers within the brain, you don't let sympathetic system come to the play. You will never suffer from Kundalini syndrome. You will never suffer from psychosomatic disorders. But that means I had done that for 40 years. All my higher centers of the brain were very clear. And I also have gone on to do post-graduation 3 years in ENT to get rid of my cold, which was a side effect of my Brahminic diet and that. And since that was focused only on the brain part, entire brain was used by me for 40 years. I never got. But today I don't have the problem because I understand the concept. Now sattvic food I have modified slightly with Rajasic touch to bring Kapha dosha to Nirdosh. And I think that was another enlightening experience, how with diet control, with the super consciousness, you can get rid of any of the health issues also add together. So this knowledge was very useful to me to prevent health problems. Even reverse aging itself, I'm trying to experiment and see whether I can be as healthy as ever, even in 70s, 80s, 90s, 100 and plus. And the day I'm able to do, I will be living example of reverse of aging. Even now I'm 73, all my biophysical parameters as good as when I'm 21. If I can continue to do that and be very dynamic and talk the way I'm talking from my ex-tempo, that means you have really reversed the aging. That's one part. Now come to the stretch of Sushumna-Nadi. As I told you, the central car is spiritual evolution is there, which is there in the center. Now Sushumna-Nadi, as Satchakra Tirunal talks about it, the central Sushumna-Nadi has 3 gunas. That means sun, moon and fire are there. They are laden with Dhitra flowers and like a copper and perineum, as a perineum in Muladhara to the head. Now I talked about it in the form of 22 by 21 bones, and the head and face represent Brahma consciousness, which is brain. And all the entire nervous system is designed with DIVYANK. The whole body is according to DIVYANK. Even DNA is DIVYANK. Sodium and chloride ratio is also DIVYANK. That is amazing that people had, rishis, maharshis, Brahma rishis had already spoken about it. Now I am able to see that in the essence of the modern science, maths, physics, chemistry, with DIVYANK in mind. I think it's amazing. So as a result, even the information which is given to the students from school, college, university, I am able to rectify because they give it anything, I give it what impeccable wisdom. That has been another enlightening experience for me to move on from lower consciousness to higher consciousness step by step. Now, as with center part, what you experience, 10 chakras are directly related with so-called Sushumna-Nadi. The posterior ones are the ascending chakras from Muladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabhi to Usha to Anhata to Vishuddhi to Ajna to Vigyan to Pragyan and backside. It rises through the backside and comes down through the front as a motor component. And once you have experience from Muladhara, ascend to the top and then come down in such, I can tell you, that is a phenomenal experience of Kundalini Yoga, external, by and large, chakra yoga. But when you internalize, you don't have to do anything because it moves from inside. And when it's inside, everything is integrated with it. That is what internalization is all about. That is DIVYANK, that is Akhandata, that is Purnata, that is Sampurnata. Once you have that, you will have no confusion at all of any subject on the earth. I want everybody to have this experience, but have this knowledge so that you're going to face that and don't get scared. And I want you to first learn this thing. Don't experiment. And your Kundalini will go wherever your thoughts go. That's it. And I'm talking about experience inside. But whatever I'm working on, it's there. Now I'm talking about it. It's my Kundalini is talking to you through my mouth, expressing one by one. Even designing, I do that. Because finally it is your Guru which talks to you the perfection. Once you become in tune with the Guru, which is Antaratma, then only you can talk of impeccable wisdom, otherwise not possible. If you are going to follow what you have read from other without a conviction, it will be very disappointing for the self as well as disappointing for the world. realizing self and talking in tune with the self to the world is what Yajnavalkya talked to Maitri in Brihad Upanishad in his life. And that's what I'm talking to everybody. Let Atma speak through you. You come to Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. And that, but at the same time, I do not want you to lose your physical health, emotional health, mental health, spiritual health at any stage. Aham Brahmasmi, I am only Atma, body has nothing to do with it. No, it's the body which needs to be taken care first. Along with Atma, only then you are a perfect being. So don't ignore physical health. Do not fall sick. Have no emotional bondage with anybody. Do not have limited brain. Make the entire world like a Lokpalan, that you are here as a Lokpalan. You love everybody, and that is what spirituality is all about. And become a spiritual scientist, you will have no difficulty whatsoever. Then you become like Surya Bhagavan, give and forgive. Not get and forget. And that is experience of Kundalini once from inside to outside, not otherwise. Now coming to the Sushumna, as I told you, Sushumna-Nadi is the outer shield, and within that is the Vahini-Nadi I told you, which is flowing cerebrospinal fluid, which is sodium, glucose and other things, is the structure which is very clear. Then Suryan-Nadi is the 10 golden rays, then Chandran-Nadi is like a grey matter, Brahma-Nadi is central canal, Antaratma internalization. Now I have given you one step by step. Within Sushumna-Nadi there is Vahini, then is Suryan-Nadi, there is Chandran-Nadi, then is Brahma-Nadi, and then is Antarization. Once you experience that step by step, only then you become a mathematician. As I told you, the peripheral nervous system, brain is made of 22 bones, out of which 21 are fixed and 1 is not. And all the nerves are closely associated with DIVYANK alone. I'll not go into detail. You can read the corresponding thing I have given separately too. Now, as our Vahini-Nadi is concerned, the structure you can see on the left side of the brain and the spinal cord. And now your right side, you see the maze of Hanuman. It's a power of sexual competence. He does not waste, but does not mean that he does not know how to internalize and externalize. This is what this will give you the power, but it will not give you the knowledge which I am talking about. But this is the structure of Vahini-Nadi I am talking about. The Ojas enters Vahini-Nadi and converts into Tejas and gives you complete knowledge, but not to the extent, but it's more like a brutal physical health which is important, not the kind of knowledge which Lord Shiva gives you inside the brain, which comes from Brahma-Nadi, not Vahini-Nadi. Vahini-Nadi is also like an external reflection of from lower to up to Sahasrara, but it's internalized within Sushumna-Nadi, but it hasn't given the knowledge of the brain and the spinal cord completely. That is also something which I want to make it clear. Brahmacharya gives you the power, but does not give you the knowledge which DIVYANK is talking about. I am not undergraduating anybody, but I think DIVYANK has gone much higher level one by one. Now I'm now introducing Aditi, which is mother and daughter of the sun. Rigved talks about Aditi is the mother of Daksha and also daughter of Daksha. And this particular concept of Rigved has been very confusing for everybody. And I'm glad when I wrote about it in Kora Answers. Actually, it's talking about Daksha is the king and it's Surya, and Aditi and the mother and other is actually helium-4, which is talking in very different terms. But in Upanishads, it is Aditi is the mother of Aditya, and also the daughter of Aditya became very clear inside that Aditi is related with Aditya, not with Daksha alone. Daksha is also Aditya, son. But that term was not given that form. It's made as king. Presiding deity of solar system is Surya. I agree. That is Daksha. But here Aditya is much more clear. From Aditya to Aditi, its combination is very, very clear, where Sanskrit is well known in that aspect. From that angle, let's move on to the next part. Aditi, voice of silence between me is very clear. It is what I explained to you in this particular thing, and I would say Aditya I will call it hydrogen, and Aditi I will call helium-4. Now I'm bringing it down to Rigved, which talks of the atoms, elements, molecules, compounds and cells as such. From that angle, Daksha or Aditya I would call it hydrogen, Aditi I would call it helium-4. But how that structure takes place, let's go on to move to that. Now you can see in the sun, hydrogen elements which are Aditya, how they unite together to form helium-4. And this is a helium-4 which comes out of Surya, becomes our Antaratma. Even Egyptian knew very well the pharaoh after death goes back to sun. And we have come from sun, we go back to sun, we call it moksha, mrityu, all in that part. Leave it. So our Antaratma, Aditi, has come from Surya. It was manufactured in Surya Bhagavan or Aditya. In the process, hydrogen to helium, helium-4 is Aditi. So this is very clear explained. Let's move on to the next stage. The Kundalini is Aditi. Antaratma is Aditi, which is inside. Let's talk about inside, indwelling soul. I'm not talking with the outer Gayatri or Adi Para Shakti. Inside it is helium-4 and that's it. Now, how the indwelling soul is called Kundalini has a shape structure I've already spoken is 22/7. It goes around the sun lingam in that form you can see in this particular picture very clearly. It's 22/7. So-called pi structure is the structure of Kundalini when it is bound together as one part. That's it. I have experienced that. I've also seen its expansion, how it moves in spiral form and then goes through 10 chakras. Is amazing thing to experience. But that kind of experience only required will give you conviction. And I'm sure everybody is going to experience hereafter because never had the theoretical knowledge. Now you have that theoretical answer. You have the confidence if this man can do it, we can also do it. I can assure you, you will experience the beauty of descent of Kundalini and ascent of Kundalini step by step with a perfection which is unheard of. Now, as I told you, inside the sun, the hydrogen is Aditya and helium-4 is this, and how hydrogen becomes this is a structure which goes inside the sun, and part of that which comes out becomes our Antaratma, Aditi again. Now, Satchakra Nirupana talks about it as 3 vritis. That means it goes around 3 plus coils. Many people call it 3.5, but I would call it 3 with me 22/7. 3 plus 1/7 is that. And 1/7 can lead to 0.142857 is what Maharishi Yajnavalkya also talked about it, and I also talk about it. 3.142857 number is the correct number of Kundalini, and that is what is spoken, and that is what like a puja and other things you can see in Sanskrit. Now Shivling, Spiral Galaxy and Shankh, they are also in the same stage, and why they have been referred in different parts is something which I am making it very very clear. Ki now spirituality and science are coming closer with the help of Akhand Vidyashram step by step without any confusion whatsoever. Now Kundalini, as I told you, is talked about as a Shankh. You can see on Shankh Vrat, that means it is like a Shankh Vrat, and it's also Sharda Trivriti. What a phenomenal knowledge is there in that Sanskrit scriptures. That is Satchakra Nirupana. And I wonder whether anybody has actually looked at it and call it, it's a Jivo Yaya Dhartade. And life becomes only once you know this particular thing. This is Madhuram, this is blissful, this Sachitanand is beautifully explained there. If this is what it is, then this is DIVYANK, this is DIVYANK ratio, this is called shell, this is Shankh, and you can see the Shankh on one side and Fibonacci sequence on the other side, and also showing in my spiral how 100 by 100 to lower portion divided by 61.8034 can give you 10.344 involutions only. Now this is mathematical design also converting, and graphic presentation also converting, shows you You need to have the knowledge completely one by one. I know my videos are getting longer and I want to make it longer so that you have a complete thing in one lot. Only when sequentialized that you will be able to understand. Smaller videos are okay for entertainment. But from knowledge you need detailed thing which I am trying to talk in the last 1 month. And I am glad that I finally found a way to do it with HD for more than 1.5 hours at a stretch non-stop in detail. It's going to become a knowledge for the entire world thereafter. We have to have a comprehensive wisdom which is not found on date in any of the mediums available. Let this be the medium for the next generation to move on. Now the consequential of Maha Kundalini. So far I have talked about Kundalini, which is helium-4, which is made or synthesized in the sun, which becomes our Antaratma. So that clear is as far as Antaratma is concerned, it is Aditya, it is helium-4. Now I am talking about Maha Kundalini, which is actually Gayatri, which is Neon-21, which also comes from higher up, and that is one which is responsible for creation of the solar system. 22 by 21 levels is with respect to Neon-21 only, or Gayatri by and large, or then 10 arms of Gayatri represent that. And that is Maha Kundalini descent has to be experienced by the person. And I can tell you, I experienced the descent in very young age itself. My Kundalini had got inside during gestation itself. But experience of descent of Maha Shakti happened maybe at the age of 5 or 6 years, was a phenomenal experience. As a result, knowledge of higher self became very clear to me. Helium-4 or Aditya can give you the knowledge of my physical body called Jivatma. When it comes to Brahman, it is the Gayatri which gave me the knowledge. So it's very clear. For physicalized self, it was Helium-4. But for the solar system and spiral galaxy, it was Gayatri. And that is the Maha Kundalini I talk about it. Now, as a result of that, I am able to understand Akash-Kosh completely and be in tune with, and that is a symbol, EEG, which I talk about, 8 Hz alpha frequency throughout the brain, helps me to be in tune with Akash-Kosh, which is the inner layer of Sun, ionosphere, Schumann resonance field, and I think that has been a phenomenal experience by and large. Now let's go to this one concept which I talk it. There are Baharang Koshas as well as Antarang. The Baharang Kosh mean you have Annamay Kosh, then Pranamay Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vigyanmay Kosh, Anandamay Kosh outside. And that is what Theosophical Society is primarily talking about. Whereas physical body, as you can see, is a solid matter, 38.196% is that part. Then you have vital breath, water. Then you have the mind, intelligence and bliss. This is what is one experience you got to experience first to understand the external world completely. If somebody tells you, I am going to close my eyes, not see the external world, you will get nothing. Because finally you have to live in the external world. You got to understand it completely. So Baharang experience is absolutely essential for everybody to be in tune with universal consciousness. Cutting yourself from the world as such does not help. I am a part and parcel of universal consciousness. I am doing everything for the good of the entire world. And that is my duty because I am here as a Lokpalan, as a custodian guardian. We all human beings are designed for that. We should make sure that we are good for the entire world, all the living and non-living objects. And for that, Baharang is absolutely essential to be understood. The second part is that was such a the Taittiriya Upanishad is talking about Annamay Kosh. Within that is Pranamay Kosh, Manomay Kosh, Vigyanmay Kosh, Anand Kosh. Within that is Guhim, and within that you have Brahma-Nadi or Antaratma as such. This internalization into the ventricle is absolutely essential for Kundalini is concerned. But then when you have Gayatri understood, then your outer 3 layers of neocortex are completely activated, and that is what brought me to 8 Hz frequency throughout the brain, step by step, because from inside I have activated the entire nervous system, 100 billion cells, and each one having 20,000 memory cells. Imagine the power which I have. And I'm talking from my cognized experience. I'm not reading anything. These are only for that. But I'm giving you experience with how I experience it. Once that becomes, then only you are in tune with universal consciousness. That means you have understood Aditya, you have understood Gayatri by and large. So this has been beautiful experience that with the help of Gayatri, I've been able to be in tune with Akash-Kosh, ionosphere, Schumann resonance field, activated 3 layers, and that is where DIVYANK knowledge actually came from. Internalization to externalization both together gave me the knowledge of DIVYANK Akhandata. That's what I want everybody. With eyes open, you should see, not with eyes closed. You should be part of the universal consciousness as one. Universe and yourself should be two together as one. Jivatma, Antaratma and Paramatma, all the three in one, is Tret Pravidya. Only then you become one with universal consciousness, one with yourself, and that is where you will know the knowledge of DIVYANK, Akhandata is all interrelated, interconnected by and large. That Akhandata is required. Now when you come to that particular stage of Akhandata within to outside, that's where you realize you are in tune with central autonomic networking completely. Only then entire endocrine system, all the 10 chakras, all the autonomic ganglion, entire nervous system, all the 100 trillion cells would work, dance together with blissful stage, Satchitanand. Once that happens, only then you are in tune with universal consciousness. Once that is done, you can understand that brain has got 4 different types of wave. When your mind is disturbed, angry, sympathetic overactivity, you will definitely have a beta activity which is more than 12, including gamma. It's the reflection of that. It's not reflection of Antaratma. Whereas alpha is in tune with universal consciousness, and I would say starting from 10.5 to 9, but I would guess 7.83 to 8.73 is the ideal situation to be in tune with Akash-Kosh. If you can produce that alpha frequency peak throughout the brain on all those 64 centers, by and large, you are in tune with universal consciousness. Whereas theta is a transition from wakefulness to the sleep. It's a phase from wakefulness to sleep as a theta. But delta is when you go into deep sleep. That's it. The Turiya would be alpha. Delta would be deep sleep, Sushupta. When theta could be into dreaming state. And beta could be Jagrat, the way everybody is. Once that is understood, you will also understand other Upanishads very clearly. What are you, ma, om is all about. What Mandukya Upanishad talks about it, what others talk about it, then all the knowledge of Vedas and Upanishads is known to you because they are all interconnected, small parts. Now when you bring all together and make into one thing is what I am talking about. Once having done that, I can assure you, you have come to the stage of Akhandata. You are one in tune with universal consciousness. You can do wonders of the highest order once you are in tune with Aditya, you are in tune with Gayatri. But if you want to understand beyond the solar system, go the higher levels, you can get in tune with Adi Para Shakti, which was the first goddess from which everything came. From Argon-40 came Neon-21. From Neon-21 came Surya and this. Once that is understood, I think you are in tune with universal consciousness. Having experienced that myself, over a period of so many janmas, I am able to translate that into divine mathematics, into new symbolic language, into one consistent without any ambiguity thereafter. So this should become the uniform syllabus for the entire world hereafter. Let's wait and see when I am to complete. I am on the job, let's do it. Finally come to the stage, the entire universe, what I have spoken about, is there within this particular symbol itself. You can see Ida, you can see Pingala, you can see Sushumna, you can see Vahini-Nadi, you can see Chandran-Nadi, you can see Suryan-Nadi, you can see Brahma-Nadi, you can see ventricles, you can see all the 10 chakras, you can see Antaratma, you can see Gayatri, you can see everything, entire thing is there. This another representation by and large. I think having done that, I think it's enough for the day. It has been lovely speaking my experience in a new way of Antar Yoga. I have explained about Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali Sutri, which is to control the mind very clearly. Then talked about Chakral Yoga, about the 10 steps. Then Antar Yoga, I am talking in the process of Ida, Pingala, Sushumna and Nadis within. Then internalization as the last stage of 10 stages of Akhand Yoga. And I think with that, Akhand Yoga is complete. Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, Chakral Yoga and Kundalini Yoga, Antar Yoga completed to 10 stages Akhand, and that is the knowledge which world should have it in Yoga Parampara. And as a result, you can produce 8 Hz alpha frequency, predominant, coherent throughout the 64 channels with eyes open, and you are in tune with Akash-Kosh. Once that happens, you are in tune with universal consciousness. If I can do it as a simple person, I'm sure everyone can do it. So we look forward to creating a world of wisdom for the entire world with a new syllabus so that there is no confusion whatsoever. So it has been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.